Hello and welcome, everybody. We're back at the Fabul Gauntlet, the bracket round. We've got an exciting race coming to you. We've got Eiklopfer versus Nablaforce. We got an 11 seed versus a 12 seed. We're in the brackets, and looks like we got a telestart. My name is Rex Raoul, and I am joined by Vitasia. How are you doing tonight?
Man, Rex, I am so looking forward to this. Telestarts are always interesting. I've heard them referred to as kind of the Swiss Army knife of characters. Great early start. We'll see how well these runners utilize them. Looking for a really hype match tonight. We've had some great matches as we're getting to the bracket stage, haven't we?
Right. I think this bracket flag set in general has just that, coupled with the fact that we've narrowed down to some really great runners, has made for really fun races all throughout the week. And I don't expect it to change anytime soon. Tella does offer some unique things. You mentioned he's kind of referred to as a Swiss Army knife. I've seen that it seems like with the runners that we're seeing, they're valuing Tella a lot higher than he used to be valued. I don't think if there were to be another reject percent sort of situation that we did before, I argue Tella might not be in there anymore.
Well, and really the key with this one is because it's so difficult to find sirens, your grinds are really limited at this point in time. And Tella is one of those guys, he can get weak and make that D machine grind in the giant just that much more accessible. So he could absolutely be the key to unlocking things if you don't end up with like a foo later on. So he's really kind of set for this.
Add to that the early exit spell, the early blink spell. He's got some usefulness early, mid, and then at the very end of the game, if you can throw a curse string on him, he becomes an excellent anchor as well. Right now, it looks like we are starting though.
And we got Punch Man over here.
Oh, my all-time favorite character.
I do like him. I really do like him. I think he's underutilized. He could be a pain, but you know. But in the meantime, we do also get Twin Harp music, maybe. People,
well,
maybe.
We'll see. We're gonna take a peek at these objectives. That Twin Harp is something that people avoid because it's a race. It is a long check, but man, we love to see it when it happens. And here comes Guiding Way. It doesn't look like we've got any hunts in this one. Like, I didn't see a character hunt or a boss hunt in there. We need to find the pan so we can wake up Fusia. We got to get the Earth Crystal to complete Zot. We're going to have to get both the hook and the rat tail so that we can trade away that rat tail. We need to get away underground. Not a surprise there. We're going to need that for the first one. But fight whoever is in the vanilla Ashura spot. And we're going to need that darkness crystal for the big whale. So it's mostly a key item hunt that we have today, not a boss or a character hunt. What do you think about that? Do you think that makes for an easier or a more difficult seed?
Well, I mean, it certainly changes the dynamic at any rate. You know, when you're doing kind of boss hunts like that, you start segmenting off the game into events. Things like Mount Ordeals becomes a little bit more important because you have 3 bosses that you can kill in addition to the 1 key item you can get. With no bosses in the objectives, though, that we're hunting for, it really kind of redistributes what you consider important checks in what you do. We see Eiklopfer already going over here, using the pro treasure strats. There is an increased likelihood to get good treasure in places that are out of the way, and the Watery Pass is one of those places that we've been seeing quite a bit, actually.
Another interesting choice is we see Nablaforce heading over to Castle Eblin right away, trying to avoid those trap chests or saving and resetting out of them in case he hits them. But he finds a power shirt right away. That's going to be a real big boon for Yang's damage.
Absolutely, especially early on. Yang is entirely run by his stats and what levels he is. His equipment doesn't give him a ton based on just the default stuff, but the equipment that he can equip, like that power shirt, will really, really help him.
There's also finding a rune ring in here. Looks like a poison axe. Got some really useful stuff in this castle. It looks like it's been a really nice little looting route for Nabla. We see Eiklopfer now going back into a more traditional early loot spot in Castle Damsian. Just a lot of treasures in a real concentrated area, so not a surprise that someone would go here early. Finding a dwarf axe could be useful depending on what characters we see. And we see the boons. Also a bandana found for Yang there. Just like a lot of real good equipment very early in the game found. This trip over to Eblin looks like it really paid off for Nablaforce.
He also got super lucky. He didn't have to save scum at any point in time because of any of those trap chests. It was an amazing little draw that he pulled there. Meanwhile, we have ourselves a pure white mage up on Mount Hobbs. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, Rosa's going to be somebody that the characters are going to be very happy to see. And Octomam here, especially after the equipping that Nablaforce found, shouldn't be very difficult. It might prove to be a little bit more difficult for Eiklopfer because he didn't find nearly the equipment that Nabla did, but hopefully between the three characters he'll still be able to take care of it. We'll see if either of the runners decide to loot West Mount Hobbs since they've got access to a character with exit.
That West Mount Hobbs check as well, as you mentioned, I think it's part of that T Pro set where it's out of the way just enough that it has increased value.
I'm not sure on that one. I haven't memorized them all. I know that the Watery Pass is definitely one that has that, so that was probably a big part of why Eiklopfer went there first. Another one that has that is actually Mist Cave, which is an interesting one.
True. All right. So we have an ice brand. What else is over here? He is going to go ahead and clear it out. Nice. Not thrilling, but nice.
The middle sword or the Ether one being the best thing found there. Neither one is very exciting. Luckily, the exit doesn't mean it's costing Nabla a whole lot of time there. It looks like Antlion Cave is going to be the next place that he decides to go. Meanwhile, Eiklopfer has completed that Octomam fight, and he is also going to loot in West Mount Hobbs, so it's going to turn out not to cost either runner any time since both of them made the same choice there.
Yep, and we do see Nabla actually saying, yeah, I don't need any of the treasures here. This is not a high density, or it's a high density spot, but the treasures just aren't supposed to be that great.
That's true. I think that kind of implies that Nablaforce isn't going to be relying a whole lot on shopping throughout this run, because the one thing that the items that you can find in here, you could do with them, even though it isn't as much with the you're selling for only a quarter of the cost, you still need money if you're going to do a lot of shopping. And finding things like the samurai armor, they might not be the best pieces of equipment in the game, but they do sell for a decent amount of money, and so that can really make your pocketbook feel a little bit better.
And a crystal armor as well. That'll definitely make your pocketbook feel good. So we've gotten 2 samurai armors and a crystal armor so far. Nabla just picked up 1 samurai armor and 1 samurai glove, and then he just kind of continued to scoot. And a package.
With no boss hunts and no character hunts, I think it's going to be unlikely we'll see anybody check the package, or if they do, they might just check to see if it's Fusia or Edge, or somebody, like if they've got like a crystal sword, check to see if it's Cecil, and then just roll with that.
Eiklopfer is being more thorough with these checks through the Antlion Cave. He's finding decent stuff. He found a diamond ring. He's found mute arrows. He found a mute knife, which would absolutely be nice.
Yeah, this whole looting of Antlion has actually been very strong, despite it not being a very high, like, as far as what what you have to draw from it, it still paid off really well, I think, for Eiklopfer there. There's going to be a lot of things to sell, and if he finds the right characters, some decent equipment as well.
Absolutely. Doing the quick boss check. Just found a Doom Noodle there in the Mist Cave, and we'll at least check the package. Ooh, and it's...
That's
is
Palom.
that a Quickie Boy? Yeah.
Yeah, so resets out of that. Like, Palom is a very useful character, but the question is he worth it to go through all of that long cutscene and battle and everything that you have to go through in order to get a character there? And looks like Nebula says no.
Well, it is worth pointing out that, this flag set only has 7 unique characters. So it's entirely possible that if we really want a Palom, not only will he be there if we really, really want him, but there's also a likelihood that we could see him somewhere else. That's a little bit more efficient to check, and we don't really need him right now either.
Nebula going through the same treasure check in the watery pass that we saw Eiklopfer do originally. So looks like, despite fading the checks in the Antlion Cave, Nebula still wants to do a lot of looting, but is prioritizing only those kind of higher tier treasure locations rather than the lower one that was the Antlion. Now, Eiklopfer also resets out of the Palom. Neither one thinks it's worth the time investment to get this character now. And I kind of understand that. If they were going to get a Palom, if they really wanted that Palom, now would be the time to invest in that. But I think they were kind of only checking to see if it was like one of the really super characters.
And River's pointing out that the Sand Ruby spot is actually dead. We double checked it. It's just another Rosa. There are no duplicates allowed in this particular flag set. So 5 distinct characters, and there's only 7 available to us.
That's been one of the other kind of interesting aspects of this flag set, is the 7 unique and no dupes. Sometimes characters are a little bit hard to come by.
You young whippersnappers, back in my day, we never had duplicate characters. We just dealt with what we had.
Oh, did you get more southern there too? Nablaforce finding a bonus round here at the Fabul Gauntlet defense spot, finding D missed. So it looks like we're going to be in for another trip over to Mist to check for a key item spot after this as well.
Oh, double checking the shops, found some poison claws. Those are the second best claws in the game for Young. So nice pickup.
Yeah, they're pretty good. I think it's more useful to find something like a Thunderclaw or an Ice Claw, especially that Thunderclaw, because if you can hit that elemental weakness, that's going to be better than the extra attack power than that the Poison Claw gives. But absent that, it still is a little bit of an upgrade there for Yang there. And now both of our runners are in the same fight here. Demas, always a bit of an annoying fight, having to wait for it to go through its mist phase without being able to attack it. The counterattack isn't very dangerous, but it's annoying to deal with.
And more than that, it slows everything down. So the sooner we can get out of the way, the better. Nabla does get through it. Receives, hey, we got our pan. Oh, I'm certainly glad neither of these runners tried to avoid Eblin until they got the pan. That would have been rough.
Yeah, absolutely. With a required key item there, Um, that is a very good thing to find because that is one that people sometimes avoid. Um, in this case, I think it kind of makes sense that they didn't avoid it since it's a key item kind of rush. And so I think since this is an early place where you can find a key item, checking that makes more sense. If we had like mostly boss checks and character checks, then I think fading this might make more sense. Fetal botch, why French? That's kind of a term that we use if a key item is found like in the same kind of area but not the exact place. So since you normally get the pan in Fabul from Sheila 1, and instead you're getting it in Fabul from Defense of Fabul, you might call it French vanilla.
It's vanilla-ish.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Continuing on the shopping and looting sort of plan, Nablaforce is heading over to Toria. We've got a bunch of shopping that could be done here. You see those Thor rages that he's picking up right there. At this point, the characters probably are going to be out damaging that Thor rage, but they do have a couple uses against a couple of bosses, most notably Kainatsu and Odin.
Absolutely. Now, we don't exactly know where those guys are at any point in time. And Nabla, is he? Nabla? Oh, he's going to be turning in the D-Mist. Oh.
Yeah, going to be checking in with Rydia's mom here, and we're going to get a key item check. Let's see what we get.
Hey, I mean, we got to go up Zod anyway.
Wow, that early Fabul check is paying out for both of our runners since they're going to have access to the pan and the Earth Crystal. This is also an early opportunity to go into the big Troya Treasury, which is one of the highest tier places that you could get for equipment. That's going to be a really huge boon to our runners. We'll see if they decide to check characters first. It looks like Nablas wants to get that Palom in Baron in. Has to get through the CPU first and another boss in order to get that.
CPU shouldn't be overly difficult. It's a pretty low HP spot, and again, it's split among those three enemies. Not quite one punch, but not more than a couple punches, I would think. In the meantime, Eiklopfer is kind of following in his path. We'll see if he makes that D-Mist turn in. I had honestly forgotten about it.
And yes, he heads straight over to Mist. The annoying thing about that that CPU fight is that Mazer, it doesn't matter where you're at, it's always going to do that percentage-based damage. So even though it's an easy fight to get through as far as the amount of damage, you're still getting hit with it.
Woo! Antlion is hitting like a truck here.
Yeah, this is one of the strongest physical attacks early in the game that the runners are going to be able to see, and having a boss like Antlion come here can be really scary. Luckily, Nabla has been adjusting to it as best he can, moving the characters to the back row, readying up the blink spell with Tella, doing what he can.
Meanwhile, Eiklopfer is actually going to go on a bit of a looting expedition first. He's going to go over here to Troya Castle, and we'll be cleaning out the...
Now that he's all blinked up, Nabla moves to the front row so that Yang can do full damage. This is a pretty heads-up play, too, just wants to get that extra damage in. And we are going to see some nice treasure here for Eiklopfer.
Oh, and he's already full! Oh, this is horrible. Inventory management. And he's getting. I guess okay. Getting rid of an exit isn't bad when you got exit mage.
Right.
Everything's so good. I don't want to get rid of anything.
Some Dragoon gear, a couple elixirs, a tiara, a Stardust. These are really good items that are available here in this treasury. So that early Earth Crystal is just and whatever you don't want, you could sell for pretty good money too. Meanwhile, Nabla's been able to defeat the Antlion. Is going to get Palom and the Tower Key. We still don't have underground access.
So we have heals, we have or follow the heart.
Or it could be behind Zod.
Oh. Yep, true.
This is going to just make Rosa so much more. That tiara has got really good defense. It doesn't boost her magic stat. It's the black magic stat that it boosts, but it's still a very good defensive item. And Nabla deciding to go to Mount Ordeals next. This is going to be good to get some experience levels on Palom, while it not being too difficult bosses. Especially the first one is generally a pretty easy boss, and then he can learn at least those level 2 elemental spells, which can often help out the second boss on Mount Ordeals. So this play makes a lot of sense. Especially considering the boss at the Magus Sister spot in Zot and the one in the Cave Magnus could definitely be dangerous with this party.
Actually, I really like this use of the Grimoire here by Eiklopfer. He's like, hey, I got it. Let's burn this quick.
If you've got the items to get through a fight faster, I think using those AoE things when you can is really smart. Getting through that CPU in one shot is really nice. Yeah, I agree. And we see Mylon Z in the vanilla Mylon spot. So, more French vanilla for everybody. We see that Fireclaw from Yang there being able to hit that elemental weakness on Mylon Z and just make mincemeat out of him. Now, based on the positioning in the party, Eiklopfer can't just put everybody in the back row for this. So has to, but is able to get the blink up on Yang, so that's going to help.
Looks like everyone's going to have a blink on them. So this is, Eiklopfer's doing everything he needs to do. Nabla, this is kind of a rude spot. His DPS is not great for this Asura spot. And Asura can really pump out quite a bit of healing right here.
Yeah, we may be seeing... It looks like what Nabla is doing is trying to possibly manipulate Ashura to keep her on the gray face and doesn't heal. The other option would be to burn a couple Star Veils, and then you can just let her heal, get reflected onto the party. I think they're both valid strategies. This one is going to save some money since you don't have to use more Star Veils throughout the course of the run. You'll have you don't have to buy as many, but the trade-off is this way is a little bit slower because you have to time your hits to hit at the right time.
Yeah, he's doing great in terms of timing everything right now, keeping it stuck on that gray face. But yeah, you're right. It does take time, and in this tournament, every second does count. We've seen very, very close races so far, even in this bracket round this week.
Luckily, it looked like the damage output from his characters was enough to make it so that it didn't cost him too much. He played that fight really well, and he didn't have to burn any of his star veils. So that was really well done by Nablaforce. And Eiklopfer now is selling a lot of the loot that he found down in the Toria Treasury. Now he's got lots of money in order to buy stuff. That's going to be nice. We still don't know who the fifth character is, so knowing what to keep and what to throw away is going to be interesting. And the key items keep on coming. That was the Baron key, I think, that we saw on Nablaforce.
Yeah, we're never getting to the underground, are we? I mean, we'll eventually get to the underground. I mean,
Firelight asking who'd be the worst boss at Ashura's spot. I don't know if it's the worst, but the one that I want to see, because I want to see it required, is the Alt Gauntlet. So. Once again, Eiklopfer going to follow in the footsteps of Nablaforce here, heading up to Mount Ordeals. Both of the runners still looking for that route underground. We'll see if Nabla decides to go next to follow that Baron key, or if Earth Crystal or Twin Harp is going to be the next place to look for that underground access.
all right. So, Eiklopfer, I think he's a little bit better on his levels than Nabla was initially, but I don't know. It's close. It's close.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much neck and neck as far as that goes. The big question is going to be if there's going to be any, like, I'm guessing Nabla's going to go raid the treasury here. Yep. And so this is going to basically be the time that Eiklopfer was behind on Mount Ordeals. This is going to be Nabla taking that time now. So I think, like, as far as where they're at, they're pretty much the same spot. But the question as to where they go next is going to be the important one. We see an interesting thing here. Nablaforce was making big use of the R trigger, so that one of the like general improvements, quality of life improvements made to the game is when you open a chest, you can hit the R button on the SNES controller to automatically throw away the item, and then if you're still in the same room and you go back to that chest, you can pick it up again. He was making a lot of use of that there. But since all the items are so good, he ended up having to open all the chests twice in order to pick up everything. So just a little interesting thing. I usually forget about the R trigger myself, but it is there.
All right. So Eiklopfer is doing his duty here at Asura, and Nabla is going to be cashing in this Earth Crystal. We have Tower of Zot. I mean, 2 characters are here, so we can kind of fill out our party and boot someone if we're feeling frisky. And then we get our key item.
Yeah, this is an interesting thing. I think this ended up being in Nablaforce's favor a little bit, since the bosses weren't too terribly difficult on Mount Ordeals. Eiklopfer had the better equipment going into this. Both the Baron Inn and the Mount Ordeals fights, but he's going to have to take another trip over to Toria instead of routing the treasure check along with the Zot check like Nablaforce is doing. Very smart save here by Nablaforce. This first boss of the Mega Sisters can sometimes be rough. Let's see what we've got here.
Hey!
Golbez. This is where you're happy that you still have those star veils.
No, Lobez.
Yeah, an annoying battle.
This could be rough. His young goes down. Okay, and his Palom. He'll be able to get those guys up pretty quick, though.
All right, let's end this. The fight is actually beginning now.
Oof.
Tella takes a wipe, but got the Star Veil up on Rosa. This fight should be won. At this point, it's how much of the other characters do you want to prioritize getting up so that you can get the experience and beat down Golbez a little bit faster. So.
Yes, this is Tower of Zot, and it looks like Eiklopfer is on his way. Gonna be following Nabla. And is Nabla really memeing? Yes. Tella casting Meteor on Golbez in the Tower of Zot.
It didn't do as much damage as when he cast it with his hit points, but got the job done.
I honestly think Tella needs to die. He needs to be removed from your party now. If Tella ever casts Meteor, I think he needs to die. We need to... Who do we get? Board face! Come on, let's program this.
The Meteor sacrifice flag incoming. But people just wouldn't use Meteor.
For the memes!
Eiklopfer now is going to see that Golbez fight here. The first character is Rosa. We see either the Baron Guards or the Kaipo fight is going to be the second fight in Dwarf. And we're going to get a peek at the second character. I think Nabla is really going to hope that it's not another dupe here.
Oh! Akidia.
Oh, we've got a couple black pages. There was, I think, I saw a Sylph summon in somebody's inventory and maybe an Assurance summon as well. So you've got some stuff that you could do with Rydia here. Plus, there was 2 tiaras in the treasury, and that's going to be really good yeah, as we see Nablaforce using Sylph right away, we see Ashura up there. So there's some good equipment for her. That tiara is the best for it. It's really good on Rosa, but it's even better on Rydia.
Yeah, the magic stats actually improve black magic casting on the tiara. I mean, the white mages can use it because tiaras and they're pretty, and I want to look pretty too. I get it, but magic stats, great. And
Ooh.
Eiklopfer, ooh, that's
Not able to get what he needed up, and takes the wipe to Galvez. We're gonna go for pig strats here. Meanwhile, we've got the Dark Imps in the Valvulus spot here. And this was, if in previous iterations of Free Enterprise, this was generally a free fight because you could find hourglasses really easily. Now that they're very difficult to find item, these Dark Imps have become a lot more dangerous. If you've got a bunch of coffins in your inventory, you can kind of deal with them like that, but man, they're kind of hitting Nablaforce pretty hard here.
oof. Oh, this is rude.
Yeah, the Imp's much harder than they used to be. He tried to get that stone off with Tella, but they concentrated their attacks on the old man before he was able to get it off. Just one coffin in the inventory. There is a moon veil in Nablaforce's inventory. He might need to, if he wants to not reset, he might consider burning it now. But it looks like he's going to go with just keeping reviving as much as possible.
Well, gets a stop off. Okay, so he's actually Nabla's going to be in good shape. Going to get probably some revives off. Make sure at least Rydia. I hope get no. You keep Rydia down. Oh.
Might be trying to get everybody back up before he kills. I guess not. Well, still at enough HP, so that should be able to revive Rydia here.
Oof. Little bit of a rough fight, but he gets through it. That is a Palin learning virus already. Nice.
And meanwhile, the Piggy strat over on Eiklopfer's side seemed to work. He's got a couple characters with Star Veils up now, so he should be able to get through this fight without too much more problems. That wipe on Golbez did unfortunately cost him some time. Since everybody's got the same, have done pretty much their looting and shopping route already, it seems, as far as the overworld goes, and they've gone to the same places. You can kind of see, it just looks like Nablaforce is just a little bit ahead of Eiklopfer at this point. He closed that window really fast for me. I did not see the item. Did you see that, Patasia?
Yeah, it was a full moon. It was not an actual key item, but we had to do it anyway. So
it was required, yeah. So that's probably why the runners prioritized that over Baron or Twin Harp, since they knew they had to complete Zot anyways. Might as well get that out of the way while they can. Now it looks like we're getting at least a Baron shop check. Not anything super interesting there. But probably going to chain this right into the Baron sewers, and we're going to go through the Baron route. There's going to be another character check here, as well as a key item, 2 bosses, and the Odin spot's going to open up, and those Star Veils must have worn off on Eiklopfer's side.
Yeah, they don't last forever, unfortunately.
I think even with this piggy strategy and considering how the Galbus fight works, it might do Eiklopfer some good to put Yang in the front row so that he can deal out more damage.
And it is kind of amazing. We think back, it all comes down to Nabla using that Soma drop on Tella and swagging a Meteo out of it. Like that's, I mean, he didn't have to use Piggy strats, he didn't have to do anything else. He had a swag Meteo and let it loose.
Well, he was also able to get the Star Veil up early, which Eiklopfer wasn't able to do on his first time around. So he might have had just better agility setup overall for the fight than Eiklopfer has. The piggy stat kind of helps against that, being able to set up the Star Veils before Bulbus says, let's end this. So you're able to get a little bit of free time with that. Got some more vanilla action over on Nablaforce's screen. We see Baigen in the Baigen spot. If you didn't know, Dathis rolled this seed.
We're going to call Dathis the ice cream man because he's just serving up a whole bunch of vanilla.
With this full party now and the Sylph summon being enacted here, Nablaforce is able to take care of Baigen without any big problems. Sorcerer Robe and Elven Bow found in the little trio of chests. A couple of really good items. That Elven Bow would have been really handy in the Ashura fight.
All right, going right back to the back where the king is. Again, kind of focusing on these key item locations simply because that's what all of our objectives are based on at this point.
And we see Mom Bomb in this spot. Mom Bomb is always a little bit of an annoying boss. I don't think it's going to be terribly difficult in this spot. The physical attack isn't too scary, but if you want to get it before it explodes and goes through all of that, it's a lot more HP than you'd normally see in this spot. And looks like Eiklopfer able to re-up some of those Star Veils. He does have Yang in the front row now, so that's going to be good for his damage output. If he's got that Fire Claw equipped, that's going to help too. It doesn't look like he does based on that damage output, but Galbez is actually weak to fire. And Mom Bomb just about to explode here. Wonder if Nablaforce has any of that AoE damage items still in his inventory to try to take care of the bombs all at once, or is going to try to just go, looks like a multi-target virus here.
You got a Meteo ready to roll.
I should have known.
Beautifully timed. Oh, because he only targeted one person, only one bomb gets hit by it?
Yeah, that's if you queue up your multi-target spell too early, it doesn't multi-target.
I'm telling you, that's 2 deaths that we're owed now.
I think Nablaforce could be renamed to Meteoforce based on this one. Eiklopfer will now get Rydia and see how he can do against those Dark Imps. Just a dupe Tella in Baron, so we still haven't seen the 6th or 7th characters.
All right. Well, Eiklopfer on his way to the Dark Ems. Nabla gonna show us what this last key item is. I hope it's nothing. I want music.
That would be the best, and then have the hook behind the twin harp. That would be ideal.
I mean, that would just be mwah. And both runners would then feel behind because they kind of went on these other journeys after getting the twin harp in our opening item. Avenger! Yes!
An Avenger with nobody who can use it. All right, we are heading to Cave Magnus next. Meanwhile, Eiklopfer is realizing that these dark imps are not as easy as he was hoping.
He's got a Stardust. I see a Stardust in his inventory. Pop that. Oh, and he's got the Hourglass.
Yeah, the hourglass was found in the treasury. Nabla might have forgotten that he has it, or just not sure what happened there, but Eiklopfer able to get it off here, and that should be enough for him to revive his characters, take care of the Dark Imps, and get through here. So make sure you use what you got. That's the important thing. Meanwhile, Nablaforce lucky that the magnetic field within Cave Magnus does not affect Yang's claws. And of course, we are in one of the most exciting times here. Probably the most favorite Easter egg throughout all of Free Enterprise is the harp song, and we're going to be able to check that out here. We're going to be quiet for just a few minutes here because it's time to listen to DJ Spooty B's Rockin' Tubes. Looks like this is some music from Final Fantasy II. Not the Final Fantasy II that we're playing right now. That's actually Final Fantasy IV. But we see the evil wall down here. This party is actually not the most well-equipped to handle the boss down here. This spot has very high magic defense, and so having Palom and Rydia in your party isn't that big of a bonus here. However, Yang has gotten some levels. He can do some damage here, especially with the Berserk spell being used.
And I think, honestly, at this point, he's having fun with Tella, with Medio Tella. That's his third Medio of the game.
Yeah, that's his strategy here, and that Medio does piercing damage there. You can see getting through that defense, still doing almost 3,000 damage. So,
and now Quake Kid is unlocked, so he's in good shape now.
Now this should be underground access here. And there's our magma key. We're not fortunate enough to see a hook seed today, but we had to go through a lot of hoops in order to find our access underground either way.
So the question becomes, because that was behind the Twin Harp, which we got at the opening spot, how behind do you feel right now if you're Nabla and eventually Eiklopfer when he gets there? Like, do you feel behind?
Maybe a little, but the thing is that Zot was required. So any of the time spent in Zot doesn't feel like a waste. Ordeals also doesn't feel like a waste. I think you can kind of assume that both of the runners were going to go up Mount Ordeals, considering we had Tella. So maybe the Baron route, but that's about it. Well, now it looks like Nablaforce was able to figure out where in the world to drop that magma. Very well done. And we're going to have some underground access. So we've got that pan. So I imagine a trip to the Sylph Cave pretty quickly is going to be in order. Get that objective out of the way, and also get a key item check right for smacking Yang with the pan, and that'll also open up Sheila 2.
Well,
Oh,
Sheila
and
1 and Sheila 2.
both
Yeah, so
Sheilas.
it's
Yeah, both Sheilas. Yeah.
so we got two, I mean, so it's three key item checks almost immediately, four if you count Land of Summon Monsters, kind of while you're in the neighborhood. And you might as well do that while you're over there. Scope out the boss at the Queen of Land of Summon Monsters, just to get an idea of what you might be facing.
Yeah, that kind of intel would be pretty good. Looks like Sylph is the first place that Nablaforce is going to. And while Nablaforce is walking down there and Eiklopfer is doing something we've seen before, want to shout out the rest of our stream team tonight. We've got Ravlin on the tracking and Dathis on the restream. So big ups to them for making the show possible.
All right, and hey, an adamant. That has some increased importance with this flag set, doesn't it, Ray?
In a sense, because if we're able to find the Legend Sword and forge Excalibur, it also opens up what is the highest tier shop in the game, which is Kokol's shop. That would be the only place that sirens could be found. They're not guaranteed to be there, but it's possible that they'd be there. It also means that Nablaforce is already up to 8 key items. So we're very close to the 10 key item threshold for the double experience. He's going to be hoping to get a twofer up here with Sheila.
Boy, that'd be nice to have 10 key items under an hour. Darkness! That's 1. And Aluka, that's 10!
Yeah, this seed's been very generous with the key items, so that's a big one for Nabla. We can get that raise the big whale objective out of the way right now. We still are looking for both the hook and the rat tail to trade away that rat tail, but that's the only one that we need key items to find at this point.
Yeah, that's the only hunt we have left to do. So honestly, I think at this point, I mean, yeah, you turn it, you raise the big whale. Maybe you go get your levels that you need, and you prepare to, take a smack at the queen, because that's all we got to do. Oh wait, we need the rat tail to. Ooh.
We need the rat tail and the hooks. But I think going and checking the character, seeing if it's that 6th or 7th character there. Since we've found an Avenger, we're really hoping to find like a Cecil or a Kane who can use that. That would be very nice for our team. And then you can, since we've got Tella and we've got the big whale, the D machine grind is available to our runners right now. We might see a grind, and then we could I'd probably go and try to take out the boss in the Assure spot as quickly as possible, because if that leads to one of the important items, I don't want to waste my time doing anything else until I know what the key item behind the required boss is.
That's kind of my mentality. Go do a D machine grind right now, get the levels, go take out the Asura boss. And there's another key item that's right there. I mean, can you imagine if both of the rat tail and the hook are just boom boom right there?
It could be one in the free chest and one behind Ashura. I mean, it really could be. We would have to do the walk of shame at that point because we have not found the pass, so you'd have to walk all the way down to Zirmus. But that's a small price to pay. And it looks like Nablaforce happy with the team not going to check the character up on the moon before going into the giant. So he's ready to do that D machine grind right now, it looks like.
It's a logical play. It is absolutely a logical play, and it's logical, and it's also very aggressive. Um, he's really kind of pushing things as far in as he possibly can. He knows what he's got to do. The one kind of location that he knows he has to go to, so he's going to get prepared to go do that.
Right, and I think Nablaforce is trying to. I think by this play, I think he's going to check everything he possibly can on the blue planet and just try to avoid the moon. I think that kind of spells what he's trying to do with this. Because otherwise, I think checking the character first makes more sense. And we're going to see the setup here on Nablaforce's screen. Going to probably turn on encounters, save, reset, and then start the walk.
Yep, it's really interesting the patterns that you go to try to get that perfect fight, and I think he's got it.
Yeah, he might have got it in the first fight, which is not something that happens too often if you've done this. But that's going to be nice. We'll make sure here once this quake resolves. Oh, looks like one of the beamers not quite finished there. That's unfortunate. It is still a pretty low level Palom.
And set it up perfectly for a Rydia to kind of trigger. And he's got it first go. Wow.
Yeah, that's a lucky reset there. Got it good. D-Machine, of course, susceptible to that weak spell. Brings it down to single digits HP. That Dancing Dagger is going to finish it off. Using a life potion to get double the experience there. It's actually going to be quadruple the experience because of the 10 key items that Nablaforce has had. It's not going to take a ton of these dragons for Nabla to get where he needs to be in order to complete the rest of the seed.
About how many dragons are we thinking? Because he's got his 10 key items, this is going to be a relatively short grind, I would say. 3, maybe 4 dragons?
I always do more than I need to do, but I think like about 4 is probably what he would need.
Question in chat, was Queen spot checked? No, we don't know what's at the Queen yet, actually. We know we know we got to do it, regardless.
Yes, we know it's required. That's what we know about it.
And at this point, I'm hoping for something a little bit nasty, if I'm being honest with myself here.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we've got a D-Machine grind available to us means that even the more nastier ones aren't going to be quite as nasty as they could be. But it would still be nice to see something like Ogopogo down there or something. Although I think we might have seen Ogopogo earlier.
No, we saw Leviathan at the missed spot.
Okay. Nablaforce using the Sylph Summon to get a little bit of healing in. And we're going to get a reprise of the Final Fantasy II music we heard earlier.
and he's got plenty of ether stocked up. I think he expected pretty early on that he would be doing this exact grind.
I wouldn't be surprised considering Tella's a required character and we need to raise the big whale, so the darkness crystal is going to be required. With those two there, like I'd be thinking D Machine grind throughout the entirety of the seed too. But I bet he wasn't expecting to be able to do it at 10 key items.
Oh, and I think he's done. He is setting himself up to go ahead and finish here. We will watch the level scroll. This is going to be quite a few levels. He was already in his mid-20s, I think, for level. And he's going to kill... Oh, he's killing Tella. Going to keep his Agi low.
We haven't seen a curse ring, I don't think. I think that's over 1 million experience at this point, so that's pretty nice. So keeping Tella's level low here makes a lot of sense.
We did see Palom go ahead and learn his nuke. Rydia, let's see. Did Rydia get enough? That's what I'm concerned about. Yes.
There's nuke. So we've got 2 nukes and a white on the mages, so looks good there.
Warping out.
Yeah, everything's looking pretty good for Nablaforce. What Eiklopfer needs to do now is be in a position to find the rat tail and the hook before Nablaforce does.
Well, that'll involve a gamble, and knowing how runners have played, I mean, he's got to think that Nabla is going to go right to the queen. So if you think you're behind, you might play away from that. You might say, hey, let's go ahead and do a full clear of the moon instead of doing the queen, hoping to find that rat tail and that hook.
I don't know. I think doing things that are objectives are still good. I think it's just going to be luck of the draw. Like, if I'm correct in my reasoning and Nablaforce is going to do Blue Planet stuff, I'd still want to get rid of the Ashura spot if I can. But then, yeah, doing the moon after that, I'd like to see. I think Eiklopfer, I think, has more reason to feel like they're behind, considering those wipes to Galvez.
Okay, I thought that's who we were talking about. Eiklopfer going ahead and acting as though he were behind and kind of running away.
Oh no, I see that, but I still think if you're able to do Ashura, you do Ashura.
I can understand it. I don't know, but then again, I am not in this tournament, so I would probably get beat with my decisions.
Hey, I went 1 and 3 before I dropped, so you don't have the best runner here, but at least I have watched a lot.
Ooh, just crystal gloves. So not necessarily worth. Gonna check out these shops as well.
Yeah, I think mostly to sell what he's got more so than to buy. Might be looking for that curse ring though. He specifically went to the armor shop. We'll see if he checks the weapon shop, but I think curse rings are probably what he's looking for. Unless I missed him picking one up earlier.
No, I don't think I haven't seen one in his inventory either.
Okay, well, this is something that Eiklopfer is doing that Nabla didn't do, and he's going up to tower. He does have the tower key in his inventory, so he could do both checks here at once. So this is something that could help.
Ooh, it's a moon boss. Could it be our big bad? Okay, D-looters. I mean, still, D-looters hit quite hard.
Yeah, this is not a super easy fight, but since we've got a power full of mages at high levels, I don't think it's going to be terribly difficult for Nablaforce. If he had a bunch of fighters, then that's a bit more difficult. But considering the fact that you've got two people who can use nuke, one person who can use either Cure 4 or White on them, and Tella, who can also use Cure 4 if he wants, or Medio. I guess that's another option that Nabla always.
Come on, swag it out. Let's get some Medio. It is a fast spot, so these fires are going to be coming out fast and furious.
But what isn't fast is the boss that Eiklopfer finds up at the top of the tower. We have already seen the Water Hag, so this blue cloak is the alt gauntlet. You want to get a bunch of random encounters from the Tower of Babel. You're going to see that over there on Eiklopfer's screen.
Sand Ruby. Okay.
But it is objective number 4, so that's a good thing for Nabla. Still looking for both the hook and the rat tail. And I think this is wise, a good use of that hourglass here. The physical attacks from the guards are very strong. This is going to neutralize both their physical attacks and their magic counters. Using weak to get through them really quickly too. Yeah, this is a smart way to handle these bosses.
And he's actually going to kill his Tella off again.
Yeah, I want to keep his agility as low as possible. Looks like these stone men might be a little too much for Eiklopfer. Oh no, another unfortunate wipe.
He's going back at it.
We'll see if he goes all the way back up to the alt gauntlet or just wants to do the half tower.
Okay, Legend Sword. I don't know, because you're set in terms of most of your equipment, unless you're still hunting for that curse ring. Can the curse ring be in the Kaipo shop, or is that only item?
No, it's you could get items or equipment in that shop.
And he's gonna. I hope he's gonna save before he runs into.
I think he didn't save.
He did not.
Committing to this then. Because otherwise, his last save, I think, was before he fought Ashura. Or the D-looters, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I'm concerned about. If he just, muscle memory resets, if this isn't anything that he wants. Uh-oh.
Well, we'll see. Nabla's been playing really well this entire season, so I hope he doesn't make an oversight like that. Eiklopfer did find Rubicant in the half tower spot, but is continuing to go up. Wants to take another chance at those that alt gauntlet fight.
Okay, I think he did just save there, so he's content to warping out. And we got to do it anyway.
Yeah, this is required. Everything's coming up Nablaforce today.
Ooh, this is rude.
Yeah, this is a pretty scary Wyvern spot. This spot is very fast, but still able to get the first Star Veil off. Cashing in an elixir to give Yang his high HP, but I think this nuke might be... Oh, okay, nuke only doing 1100. I thought this is a pretty high magic power spot. I think he might have a rune ring equipped that would help with his magic. Yeah, looking at the damage output that the Wyvern is doing with those reflected newts versus the levels that he gained via that D-Machine grind, this Wyvern goes down pretty easily.
Yeah, a little bit hairy there at the start of the fight just because he did get a Mega Nuke off, but Rosa was fast enough to get a quick wall off.
That's probably due to that heads-up killing of Tella in some of those other battles, because if he had gotten too much agility on there, it might have been a worse time overall for the rest of his party. So, but as it turns out, everything works out fine. He was able to get the 1 Star Veil up, and as it turns out, that was all he needed. Now we can do a combination of walking and warping to get out of here, and we are just 1 key item away from go mode for Nablaforce. Just needs to find that rat tail.
I think at this point, my instincts tell me to go ahead and do Odin's spot first because it's the only thing left here on the Earth at this point.
Well, there's still Dwarf Castle. Nablaforce hasn't done Tower, and then there is that Odin spot, of course, as you mentioned. So there's a couple of places. And he's going to Tower.
Tower, wow. Okay. Okay, I guess it makes sense because it is 2 key items here.
And unfortunately for Eiklopfer, this is going to be a much easier fight for him, considering that he's already gone through with the D-Machine grind and is at much higher levels. He's at endgame level, where Eiklopfer is still basically at end of the overworld levels, trying to complete this. So it's much more difficult for Eiklopfer to get through this than it will be for Nabla.
Worth noting too, Nablaforce, while he's pretty clearly in command at this point in time, he is also the lower seed. So this is technically going to be an upset if things keep going the way they are for Nabla.
I think it would come up to some really unfortunate, unlucky routing for Nablaforce not to take it at this point. Not to say that that's impossible, but I don't think bosses are going to be really the problem for Nabla anymore, considering he's at end game levels. I just don't imagine it being something, and he does not want any part of that alt gauntlet. So now there's hope. We want this to be the rat tail for Eiklopfer.
Things are getting spicy. There's a chance. A door has been left opened by Nabla.
And I think it would have to be specifically the rat tail as well, because I think all our rabbit hole items have been found.
I believe so, yes.
But then again, Eiklopfer also has to survive. He's going through a lot better this time than he was the first time. The first time he had trouble even with that Stone Man fight at the beginning, but
When chat was pointing out, one of the major issues that Eiklopfer has had is that these bosses, the Snowman and even these chimeras, are all, very high in terms of magic resistance for these enemies. And we have a magic-based party.
absolutely. Um, if he doesn't have Palom up to Quake yet, then it's going to be very difficult. But he does, and that's going to help here with the chimeras.
Oh, just an Artemis bow.
That's unfortunate.
Oh.
So that reset for Nabla really paying off there. We'll see what the item for the tower key is right now. We got the pass, so forget what I said about the Walk of Shame earlier. You can take the shortcut in Toria right to Zeromus now.
Yeah, and he's going to use that. Go ahead, clean up the rest of the Earth. Let's do Dwarf Castle while we're down here. Never have to come back underground again.
And looks like the first boss is going to be Odin. I don't think that's going to be too trouble for Nabla, considering he's got a super high level party. You can either Quake him, you can Lit 3 him. He's just going to go down really quickly.
Odin, one of those rare bosses that actually takes additional damage with the right element, even above and beyond the normal weaknesses.
Yeah, Odin don't like lightning. That is for sure. And we see Palom busting out those quad 9s from Lit 3 there. Odin going down really easily. And we know that the second fight here is going to be, I think it's going to be the Kaipo fight. Because we saw the guards down in the Leviathan spot.
Absolutely. Oh, and we have ourselves an engineer that we are promptly getting rid of.
Yeah, no need for Sid at this time. Groundflyer has Odin's spot been checked? It has not been checked yet. I imagine if this is not the rat tail for Nabla, that will be the next place he goes. And it's going to be interesting to see where Eiklopfer goes next, too. He's going to prioritize the D-Machine grind as quickly as Nabla did. But it looks like he's going back underground first. Going to do this Dwarf Castle check.
Yeah, he's not going to have quite as easy a time. I mean, he'll have a reasonably easy time, but it won't be nearly as easy as Nabla had.
All right, and see what we got.
Oh my god, really?
Really, we've got it. Fading the Moon. Nablaforce doing the right thing, sticking with the blue planet. And now can go ahead, pick up his hovercraft, head over to the Adwick Grotto, trade in that rat tail, complete his third objective, and get the crystal.
He hasn't even gotten the hovercraft yet. Man. big shout out to Nablaforce. He's played this seed just about as perfect as you can get. I mean,
Yeah,
every call that he made was great. He picked up the right equipment at exactly the right time. Didn't do anything he didn't really need to, except for maybe Baron Castle. But my goodness,
yeah. I mean, there were definitely things that fell in his lap that were lucky, but he also played really well. He, like when surprise Galvez happened, when surprise Wyvern happened, he was ready for them and he was able to handle them without too much of a problem. The gambles that he made also paid off, so the luck was on his side. If that rat tail was at behind that Gauntlet at the top of tower, this could be a chance for Eiklopfer to come back into this game. But as it said, every gamble that he made basically paid off, except maybe if you consider the Baron key. That one didn't pay off. But other than that, everything did.
Minako Rocket, thank you for the raid. Big shout out to you. Appreciate your support.
It's another Avenger sword that he can't use.
Well, he got the pink tail for turning in the rat tail, and then the pink tail became an Avenger.
And now it's off to Toria. He's got the levels that he needs. He's ready to go. This party, I think, is one that's kind of primed to do if he's studied up on it and he's ready to do it. Something like a Unihorn strat might be in order here. We'll see.
Can you explain Unihorn strat for me? Because I don't know if I've ever had it like explained out.
Sure. The idea is you're doing basically a hybrid strat of Berserk and Reflected Magic. However, you're keeping track of how much damage that you're doing to Zeramus, so that before he gets to the threshold of damage to refill his HP pool, you use the Unihorn to take off the Berserk from Yang, and then you finish him off with Reflected Magic without getting the HP refill. So it's just basically cutting his HP in half. But you have to time it right, because when you use the Unihorn, there's still going to be one hit after that is still going to hit. So you've got to make sure you're keeping track of your HP that you're doing precisely, so you don't accidentally trigger it. You could also go for a full reflect in this and use Yang as a chemist in this fight. That would also be a really good strategy here. Or just a pure hybrid strat and not worry about the refill. We'll see what he decides to do, but there's a lot of choices that he's in this fight. But whose butt are we going to kick tonight?
I don't know. Man, the chat was getting a little bit antsy. All right, we'll double it up. Whose butt are we gonna kick tonight?
Whose butt are we going to kick tonight? Because it is now butt time. It looks like we've got an Adamantoismus.
It's a big title.
I think with Nabla using Yang to throw out that silk web at the beginning of the fight makes me think that he's going for full reflex strats.
I tend to think so too. He might use his Tela to throw Palom an extra heal, just to ensure that he survives this big bang.
Yep, you're right there. Queuing up that Cure 4. Make use of Tela's MP while he's still alive. That makes a lot of sense. And we're seeing a lot of reflected magic now. The thing about Zeramus is anytime you hit him with a direct spell, he's going to counter. Depending on what spell it is, it's going to be either like a virus or a nuke counter. But the other thing is the way that counters work in Final Fantasy IV is a little bit weird. If you reflect something that would counter, you don't get the counter. So if you reflect, it doesn't do the counter nuke. The other thing that kind of counts as a counter is the HP refill. So that's why we're talking about missing that HP refill in the middle of the fight. He did get one attack out with Yang. I think he's not berserked though.
No, he's just he had it set up to where it would be a charged up attack. It's worth noting that that counter trick to reflect things off nukes works throughout the entire game for any counter attack you want to avoid. Using any sort of reflected magic won't trigger any sort of counter attack. So all throughout the game, you could think of various counters that end up coming into play. If you cast magic on something, just reflect it. You're good. There we go. It's a flash. He didn't do the HP refill.
Yeah, very, very efficient fight there from Nablaforce. GG's at all. And we're still waiting to see if we can get an interview from Nabla here. And then in the meantime, we've got Eiklopfer now. Is probably seeing the dot done, and now has got to wonder, like, is it just the unfortunate wipes that I took? Because that's probably what he's thinking at this.
Yeah, and sub 130 for these flag sets is absolutely blazing speed. We were talking before the race. We need a word for how quick these seeds are, and yeah, I mean this one was just an incredibly fast seed.
Okay, looks like we're not going to be able to get an interview with Nablaforce, but just want to go ahead and reiterate, big GGs, very well played throughout the entire seed. We mentioned luck was on his side, but he also played everything really well. So just want to commend that. And that time, as you mentioned, is a really good time, especially considering he's 16 out of 17 on key items. That was one haunted moon. It must have been.
Can you imagine going to the moon and coming up just completely empty? You'd have so much heartbreak.
I wouldn't be surprised if Nablaforce thinks that that's what Eiklopfer did and why he had the edge.
Meanwhile, it does look like Eiklopfer is going to give another attempt. He's having a little bit rougher of a go of this. Keep in mind, Nabla had already done his grind at this point in time.
Codazzler was anything on the moon. Nothing that was useful. The spoon might have been on the moon. That would be the only key item that we haven't seen.
Can you think if the spoon was in Baron at the Odin spot, literally everything would have been on Earth?
That's true, yeah.
Well, I mean, we'll get the credits here from Nabla, so we'll know.
The other thing that could have been on the moon was the 7th character.
That's right. We had Sid as the 6th, which it does look like Eiklopfer ended up grabbing instead of Rydia.
It looks like we've got one Lunar Frog. Looks like he was trying to set up the Lunar Frog strategy, but not able to reflect enough, so we've got to reset here. And once again, while Eiklopfer is doing this fight, again, big shout outs to our restream team tonight. Daff is doing the restreaming, Ravlin on the tracking. Everyone who helps administer the free enterprise channel here, which is now a partner. Very important to know. So the Twitch channel here is great. And all of our other partners that have been helping us throughout this event over on Randomania and on, Randomania and RPG Limit Break. Been great partners with us throughout this event, and it's been wonderful that we've been able to put on so many races throughout the Swiss rounds and now in the bracket rounds.
Yeah, it's always nice that we can get as many featured runners as we can. And if you are new to the community, if you just kind of stumbled upon Twitch because you're sitting at home bored anyway, and you want to give this a try, come on, join us over in the Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise Discord. Lots of newbie corner channels to be able to help you get started. Lots of helpful folks willing to help you out, get things rolling for you the first time. It's one of the best internet communities I've ever been privileged to be a part of. Everyone is just so welcoming and warm, and it is one of the best corners of the internet. So come join us, roll up a seed, and hang out some.
We're seeing one of the favorite strats for any fight in Free Enterprise right now. Eiklopfer has gone for the Lunar Frog strats. This is where you take the breath attack from the Lunar Frogs. You have a wall up, and it reflects back onto them, and they get turned into frogs. They can't do... Their physical attack and defense is way lower. They can't cast magic anymore. They are harmless little frogs.
If you guys are interested in some more randomizer goodness, there is going to be, let's see, 2 other races going on tonight. One looks like it just started not all that long ago over on Randomania, and that race is between Korik and Lucky Cole Live, love that name, and that's going on over at Randomania. Also later tonight on this channel at 9 o'clock Eastern, we'll have Dia versus Zilch going on. So you could just hang out here with us and then get some more rando into your bloodstream later.
I think those are both going to be some hype races, because I think there hasn't been much that's been bad in this bracket race. I'm particularly excited. I think a lot of people are really hyped for that Dia Zilch race a little bit later tonight. So really exciting to see what's going to go down there. Eiklopfer getting the bad news that it's just the Sand Rubies, still missing out on that hook. We know that was at the Sealed Cave, right?
Yep, the hook is going to be the hook is going to be at the Sealed Cave, and then the rat tail is going to be I think he's already got the rat tail.
Yeah, he's got the rat tail. That was from Dwarf Castle.
Yep.
He's probably going to be doing that guard fight down here at the Leviathan spot first. If he still has an hourglass left, that'll help. Otherwise, he might... Well, he's not going to be able to cast anything with Tella or Rosa. This is a nasty spot. Ooh, coffin. Pretty heads up play there.
If he can live through the rest of it.
Yeah, that life glitch I think is a little greedy. I think I might have wanted to do something a little bit more proactive with Palom, like maybe cast stop.
Worth pointing out that with this win, Nablaforce moves on in the tournament and will be facing someone in our chat right now. Hi, Night Dew. How you doing?
Night Dew, I'd venture to say that if Nablaforce played like he did tonight, you're going to have a tough time next week. Because he played real well.
Night Dew, of course, one of the longtime members of our free enterprise community. Really one of the veterans and one of the people many other runners, myself, even look up to. Looking forward to seeing how he goes. This is going to be a tough race for him, though, next week against Nablaforce. Nabla really kind of put the thumb screws here. He put the hammer down and just made almost no mistakes.
And TCG Jin, rumor has it, Night Dew is so unfazed, going to use a kazoo as a controller. I mean, I don't think that has anything to do with him being unfazed. I think that's just his general strat as the kazoo controller.
He's actually reprogrammed a Power Glove to work on his emulator, and he's going to Power Glove it.
Mm-hmm. That's so bad. This is unfortunate. This fight is really starting to get the better of Eiklopfer. He's going for the tunnel vision strats, which don't always work out for me, I know.
Well, at this point, I think he sees the dot done. He has a presumption that, hey, if I can just get through this, I'll be good. Now, problem is he's still got to grind. Even after he finds everything, he's still got to grind.
He's queuing up a size from Rosa. If that can land, then that's going to make it a lot safer. We might next want to prioritize a mute from Rosa. Because even in the mini form, they can be pretty nasty with their counter magic, and you don't want to get, if you're going to be relying on anything, you don't want to be pig eater toted or pig eater sized. Those are the counters.
And he's still trying to set up these life glitch strats.
It seems like he's been the strategy that he's been going through has been. It doesn't seem like he wants to do that D machine grind. I think using these life glitches kind of, or at least trying to use these life glitches, has been kind of showing of that. But Stone, you can't life glitch.
Yeah, I don't know if he knows that.
All right, got the stone on the second one. We're through this fight. Doesn't have to worry about this anymore. Everybody's alive. So that's nice. Hopefully, he continues to fade the moon just like Nabla did, and he heads straight over to the Seal Cave next. Or he could head over to Kokol's hut to see if there are sirens available.
I honestly think that's what he's going to do. Because that's the only place that sirens can go. If you're concerned about the D machine grind, that's your only hope for sirens.
And you're right, Vitasia, that's where he's going next. Oh, this is going to be fun. This is something we didn't see on Nablaforce screen, so we're going to see something new here.
I mean, okay, Stardust rods and life staffs. Awesome.
It's no siren, and seeing those for sale, it's like kind of makes me think like maybe I would have been better off to keep Rydia. I don't know. But I guess you're probably, if you're not going to do D machine grind, then you probably don't want to level up Rydia to nuke. Unfortunately, heading to the looks like he's going to launch the blue whale. I don't know. Like at this point, he might say, "I need to do D machine grind now, since I know that I don't have sirens available for me." If he heads up to the moon, then that's going to be just really, really sad.
Well, and we got that darkness crystal as soon as we could go into the underground. And we could get to the underground relatively early. So if you think about the chain of events, as quick as you can get to the darkness crystal. Magma Key was hidden behind Twin Harp, which we got right off the bat. Darkness crystal was in the underground from...
It was one of the Sheila checks.
One of the Sheila checks, yeah. So
we got the thinking from Fabul Gauntlet.
Yeah, he might be thinking that everything that he needs is up on the moon, and that the way Nabla beat him is by going to the moon, which up to this point Eiklopfer has completely avoided. We might even get to see our 7th character up here, right?
Well, we haven't yet.
Saporum. Ugh. That is our 7th and final character. And he's ditching Tella.
At this point, a base level Porum is probably going to be a better anchor than Teller. And he is entering the lunar subterrane, so looks like for Eiklopfer, it's all about checking the moon spots now.
That just tells me that he has completely abandoned any hope of D Machine, because he doesn't have weak now.
That's a good point. Yeah. But if he's planning on doing moon bosses, he can probably get enough experience just through the lunar bosses that he doesn't need to do much of a grind. That would be his grind,
yeah.
basically.
Yeah, that's what it's looking like at this point in time. It'll be a little bit rough, but you should be all right. Still, I bet he wished he picked up a couple life staffs now.
I think the interesting thing is going to be if he decides to keep Porum alive and actually try to level her. I'm guessing that he won't, but we'll see.
Ooh, how hard does this Cecil hit?
Looks like hard enough.
If you can get one heal off on Young, I think you'll be good.
Yeah, it might just be turning that battle speed down might be enough to do it, but it looks like he wants to keep the battle speed where it is. And I think this Cure 3 item is probably a bit better, but still not quite enough. Like the spot is just too fast for Eiklopfer to get a heal off. I'm not sure if maybe a run buffer might do there.
He's just queuing it up right away.
Yeah, that's better. If he has that time, then okay. Cure 3 gets off, then I think he's got this. He'll be able to revive probably one character if he queues up the life potion fast enough. Looks like Palom is the priority here. Took a couple of tries, but got there.
Odin and a worthless crystal mail.
We're going to see a lot of nothing on the moon, since we know that everything's on the blue planet except for possibly the spoon. But it's hard to blame Eiklopfer for this decision. There's more key item checks on the moon than the blue planet at this point. And as you mentioned earlier, Vitasia, there's the fact that the moon was available to us so early in the seed that you can think if Eiklopfer is doing a little bit of metagaming on how fast Nablaforce was able to complete this seed, that he might have just thought that he must have gone to the moon.
Yep. Oh, man, this is just... It's a rough position to be in for Eiklopfer, but it's one of those positions that I think literally every single one of us who have run any randomizer has been in. This randomizer or any other randomizer games that are out there. Sometimes you make kind of a bad gamble on where something is going to be. It happens. It happens to the very best of us, and you last location an item. And it's not fun when you do it, and it's especially not fun when you're in a tournament setting. But rando's gonna rando.
Well, we see a free boss fight here in the vanilla plague location. The King Queen Evelyn fight have now become conscious, and that's all it takes in order to get them taken care of. And Eiklopfer is definitely keeping that Porum down, so wants to have her as the anchor through the rest of this run, it looks like. So probably going to the vanilla Ogopogo spot next. That's usually the next play when you're going for a bottom up sort of strategy.
Now, Raw Fiend is asking chat, where was the hook? It was located in the sealed cave. We have the Luca key. Eiklopfer just opted not to go turn that in. We also didn't really check Odin's spot either, for what it's worth. Yeah, we're just waiting for that hook. We know where it's at. Eiklopfer is, we presume, is trying to metagame a little bit, thinking that it's up here on the moon. It is not.
And we see Mylon and friends in the vanilla spot. That Quake, especially now that Palom has the Stardust Rod attack equipped, does just mean amounts of damage. Now the disadvantage to killing out all those friends early is the Mylon is going to be using that lit one even more often. It's just annoying. You have to sit through that animation. It's not really dangerous at this point, but it is annoying. The punches will come from Mylon every now and then, and that will be pretty strong at this location. But since it's only intermittent that he punches, I think Eiklopfer should be able to mitigate that. I don't think this is going to be too difficult of a fight for him, but it's not going to be the fastest either. Okay, well, it looks like that little one, like, if you don't have the right, still do some damage. 514 is actually a lot of damage for a lit 1 spell, so...
No kidding.
I mean, I knew this was a high magic power slot. I just thought that the lit 1 just wasn't strong enough to do much. I might be wrong. It might either be a diamond ring or the tiara that's protecting Rosa from the... lightning damage, or just general magic defense. And a couple back-to-back lightning spells took Palom down, but Mylon's complaining about his body, so we're done with this fight. We got through it. We get a lunar
There's that
staff.
staff, yeah.
Not quite a life staff, but I think that's the third best staff behind Life and Silence. Still a decent option. Although I believe Eiklopfer has decided to go with Archer Rosa. Might be going for a Tri-Zerker strategy with her, because I think she has Artie Bow and Artie Arrows.
Oakley, yes, there will be one other race here in about an hour on this channel, and that one is between, I just had it pulled up and then I closed that window. That one is between Dia and Zilch, so stay tuned.
There's also one over on Randomania between Korek and Lockcole Live. I believe that one went live about an hour ago.
Yep, not quite sure where they're at. No spoilers.
Yeah, we've been busy with this race. Watching Nablaforce put on a clinic. We see some dolls in the vanilla wyverns.
Ew, dolls.
This is where that Stardust Rod may really pay off, because it might be enough to get those blue dolls off as well as the red dolls. And it is. Able to take them all out in one shot is really nice. Don't have to worry about facing a big doll tonight. Ooh, for the memes, we get the Drain Spear. And we see the exit out and then dip right back in. Gonna go down to check that Vanilla Pale Dim spot. Gonna go and refill the MP over on the right altar here. Kind of a heads up play to keep your... Don't have to worry about reviving Porum, but still making sure that you'll have plenty of MP for your Rosa and your Palom in this upcoming fight. But I do have to say that I'm a little bit disappointed in our runners. Neither of them, I think, even entered the town of Tomra, so we didn't get a employment dwarf check, and that makes me very, very sad.
That is a little bit upsetting. Huh.
And we get the Canadian destroyer Ogo Pogo in the Vanilla Pale Dim spot, so I think this counts as French Vanilla since they're both normally found in this lunar subterranean area.
Well, Ogopogo is usually on the lunar path itself, somewhere. So I don't know if they're classified as the same area.
I'm not sure if the lunar core and the lunar subterranean are... I mean, as far as like Free Enterprise is concerned with trap chest locations, they're considered the same area, but they do have different music. You get the sweet Red Wings theme in the lunar subterranean, you get the sweet Into the Giant theme down in the lunar core, so who knows?
Either way, I think something we can all agree on, the music in this game is sweet.
Yeah, it is. Ooh, unfortunate reset from Eiklopfer there. And it's going to go ahead and do a full heal here, so that means Porum's going to be up.
I don't think he's planning on Porum living through it all. Or going to go over here and say, hey, let's check Bahamut.
Yeah, we're going to do a Bahamut check here. Unfortunately, we know that there is no value in Cave Bahamut tonight.
I think we know that's where the spoon is based on the credits.
Well, considering that there is no Edge and there is no Spoon Flag and no Edward, I'd say that's no value. I guess it is the only key item that you can actually sell, so there's that.
It will always belong to the spoony bard of my heart.
That's probably the person you'd want to see hit with that whisper the least is Palom. Got lucky with that weak hitting Porum, now you don't have to attack her yourself.
Man, coming out fast. Holy.
Ooh, and then the whisper hitting Rosa can't get off the heel. That is rough.
This is a very rude and just an amazingly fast Dark Elf at that.
Yeah, this is unfortunate. This is a if you could get Dark Elf transformed into the dragon form, then it's not that bad. But if you have to deal with extended periods of this fast first form of Dark Elf, it can be very scary. And down goes Sid. Man, this is a
Yeah, those weeks are just coming almost immediately after everything.
and then the firelit ice combo comes not long after that. Now it's not that's not scary, except the fact that the weak hit right before it.
Yeah, it's like a guaranteed kill almost every time.
After Palom's finally back into human form, Whisper hits again. It seems like Eiklopfer is just doing everything he can to stay alive. Unfortunately, not able to do much damage. Here comes the Quake. Hopefully, it hits before a Whisper hits Palom.
We changed them.
Get to me changed, so now I don't know if Eiklopfer has an hourglass left. That would be nice. Otherwise, maybe we could get to Palom's turn and cast Stop. Or I don't know. I don't think Palom's learned Weak yet, but if he has, that's an option because Dark Elf is susceptible to Weak.
Oof, he still punches like a truck.
Yeah, the physical attack spot in this is basically the highest in the game.
And he's just gonna chain stops at this point.
Yeah, you definitely don't want it to wear off. Now it's getting the berserks up. I think we've got it. That was a hard fought battle, but I think Eiklopfer has it at this point.
With Artie Artie? Yeah, that hit.
Yeah, it was unfortunate that he wasn't able to set up his other characters first. If we had that Artie Artie on Sid, then maybe it could have been an easier go at it. But and there it is, that spoon that we were all excited for. To see Eiklopfer just stand there like.
Yeah, it's
like,
always
really?
great. Yeah, go ahead.
So we'll see if he decides to go and rematch that Ogopogo or head back to the blue planet.
Heading back. It's amazing how we, as members of the community, as fellow runners, as commentators, as observers, can still glean so much nonverbal communication what's going through Eiklopfer's head through 16-bit sprites when
Yeah,
he's
just
just standing there.
like, like, congratulations. Here is a spoon. Like, really? Really? Oh, it looks like he's going Odin before he's going to Seal Cave. Well, we're gonna see something else that we haven't seen yet. It's almost like we could say for every like lucky decision that Nablaforce had throughout this entire run, Eiklopfer has just been so unlucky with his choices. Like kind of the same way, and that's a nasty turn.
And it didn't start out that way. Like, if you remember, outside of some early media strats that Nabla was using, Eiklopfer wasn't all that far behind him. I mean, he was kind of on the same path.
Yeah.
And then we went to the underground and things just went off the rails.
Yeah, once the decision was made for, like, there was a point where Eiklopfer decided, or Nablaforce decided to go up and do the D machine grind, and from that point on, like every decision that Nablaforce made was right. And Eiklopfer decided to go do some other checks first, and like that, none of that really paid off, whereas everything paid off for Nablaforce. Looks like between the fights that he's been able to complete on the moon, his levels are pretty good. This Kainazo isn't nearly as scary as it could have been if he had tried this before going to the moon. And that weakness to lightning with the water up proves to be the undoing of the blue turtle.
Hey, if we want a few more levels.
Yeah, there we go. We got a siren.
Dathus, you're not wrong. It's a little bit of a slap in the face item at this point in time. After all the levels you got on the moon, and he's really struggled with levels up till this point in time. A lot of bosses that he struggled with, especially in that mid game, would have been made a whole lot easier with that siren. Now,
And there's only a couple spots left available to him to check. He knows he doesn't want to face that Ogopogo again. So he's going down to the sealed cave, which I believe is his only other key item check left. So he's going to get down here. He's going to find that hook, which is great. And it's been a while. What was the boss down here? Do you remember, Vitasia?
yeah. Wyvern. It was the Wyvern.
Oh, yeah. You'd think that would have been more memorable for me.
Let's also think about this. When Nabla came down here, he got wiped by Wyvern. Only had one person up to reflect the Mega Nuke. Did get it though.
Yeah, was able to recover with just one Star Veil up. Yeah.
Eiklopfer has the Star Veils. I don't think he's used them all yet. But we'll see how this ends up working for him. More importantly than that, I don't remember his level of his Palom, but I don't think he doesn't have Nuke, and I don't think he's going to get Nuke even after this fight.
But his party is a little bit different. He's got a Sid instead of a Rydia, So he might be going for more of a just general hybrid strat for the Zervis fight, because he's only got 2 casters in general, and in that sort of situation, I generally prefer just zerking up the 2 fighters and healing with Rosa. If you could get a couple of things in with Palom, that's nice, but looks like he might be out of Star Veils trying to use that Moon Veil, but the Mega Nuke comes in first.
Uh-oh.
Thanks for the Wyburn emote there, Rivers. Wyburn indeed. So we'll see. There might be a little bit of a run buffer could help, or I think what would help the most is probably adjusting the battle spirit, which is something that I don't think we've seen Eiklopfer do this entire for this entire run. He's trying for just a brute force. Got it.
So he'll be set. And more importantly than that, his Rosa does have arty arties. So that should make quick nuke of any dragon.
Looks like he is trying to revive his team, get a little bit more experience on them as well.
Oof. Oh. Yeah, at this point, I would just be attacking with Rosa with those arrows. Honestly.
You've got to get a plan to do some damage. Here we go. Now some damage is coming up. You see how much that arty damage does on that Wyvern. Huge.
Yep. All right.
We got it. So now Eiklopfer has what needs to be, well, we'll have everything once he turns to that red tail and gets the pigtail for it. Will be 17 out of 17 for Eiklopfer here, and will be awarded his crystal.
Well, and let's take this into consideration. His Palom's still not fully online. I mean, do you use the Siren of Insult?
I mean, I think you've got enough with between Yang and Sid being able to do the damage. Now, personally, if I had this party as it is right now, ready to go to mode, what I would do is I'd transfer that arty bow and arty arrow over to Sid. Looks like he is going to crack that Siren, but I would transfer those over to Sid, and then put the lunar staff that I know we have on Rosa, and then just use Rosa to heal and zerk up Yang and Sid for the fight, and not even really worry about Palom. But if he's able to learn nuke here, then I'd probably throw fight.
Nope, no nuke. So, yeah, I think that's the strat I would be rolling with as well. Just Artemis, Sid, Young with his fists and let Rosa do the healing and just commit to the twins both staying dead.
Yeah, I mean, early in the fight, I wouldn't mind using Palom to reflect, like put us. Well, I think we might be out of Star Veil, so might not be able to do that. But could throw out a Cure 3 or an Elixir here or there. To answer Tybalt's question, I only think about the movie Armageddon when it plays. Deathis, yeah, can use Quake for nerfing Big Bangs. I just don't like. I think there's more danger in trying to nerf Big Bangs with this party because if the counter nuke hits Rosa before a nerfed Big Bang, then you might be in more trouble than just eating the full powered Big Bang and Cure 4ing afterward.
Does look like that's exactly what he's going to do here. Yep, still the Gaia. Yeah, still get everything set up perfectly. Come on. Except he did put it on Sid.
Didn't put it on Sid. I think Sid has an Ogre Axe equipped, if I recall correctly. But I think that that Artie Bow, Artie Arrow is probably the best equipment setup for Sid. But I guess I'm not 100% sure of that.
No, it absolutely is. It's better than even his Rune Axe setup in terms of pure damage.
Well, yeah. I usually prefer Ogre X to Rune X because Rune X's hit percentage is a bit lower. But
okay, but yeah, I mean, it's still. I mean, I think they're both still good.
Yeah, Ogre X is definitely good. Rune X is good. Either of those would be fine. I just think it would have been a little bit better because he gets the stat boost from the Artie Bow as well. So
yep.
All right, Eiklopfer in go mode. Final fight. Here we go. And again, if I recall correctly, I think he's doing this at battle speed 1. I don't think he's adjusted at the entire speed.
He did. No, he put it back down to 3.
He put it to 3 for
the Wyvern. Yeah, well, for the Wyvern.
Oh, for the Wyvern. Oh, okay. I did.
So, yeah, he hasn't changed it back.
Grr.
And Sid can eat a nuke to the face. That's fine.
Yeah, it took about half his health down, but the nerfed Big Bang is going to do less than that. If you've got time to heal, which he does, might as well do that. Or was that a wall that he cast?
No, he threw an elixir up on Sid.
Oh, it was probably a Berserk that he cast with Rosa. Okay.
Yep.
Oh. Yep, and now that the two boys are Berserks, he's just hanging out on Rosa, waiting for the Big Bang to heal. This is definitely going to be the safest way to go with this fight.
It'll be safe. I'm concerned that Yang and Sid are not going to be able to pump out the damage necessary, though. We might get some viruses. Or what's worse, we might get some black holes, meaning we'd have to re-up all the Zergs.
Nice crit there from Sid. And this will be a full-powered Big Bang here.
And we have a dead set of twins.
Only about 1,000 damage to Rosa. Her, especially with that tiara and the diamond ring, both giving pretty good a magic defense. Able to tank that Big Bang pretty well there. There's that black hole you were talking about. Now just have to have Rosa re-up the Berserks here. And now the Sid's back up to his Berserker glory.
Got a good shake there. Really, the only other thing I'm worried about is the Zeromus fight does have a point where if you're not damaging him fast enough, he does start to have a script where he'll start casting Virus. Now, it looks like we've been avoiding it up to this point in time, so that's good.
Ooh. After I talked about the magic defense and everything.
Uh-oh. And there's a black hole, so we can't even re-up. Oh, no.
Well, the black hole might give us time to revive Rosa and get a Cure 4 off before the next Big Bang. At least that's what we're hoping at this point. Single target nuke unfortunately hits Yang. Hopefully he lives.
He does. He's going to elixir himself. Okay. Oh, but that's our last elixir. Do we have another Cure 3 to throw on? Oh, man, this is risky.
I think we're banking on getting to Rosa's turn and getting that Cure 4 off.
No, he's casting Zerk.
Zerk just wants to say, if I can't do this, Yang, you're my boy.
YOLO!
Oh, but we got back to Rosa again. Now we get the... Because we haven't gotten a shake yet from Z, so... I think we are still in this.
That was brassy. I don't care who you are. That took some brass right there.
And now we get the Zerk back on Sid. We might be up for another black hole pretty soon, but wow, that was a really good comeback from an unfortunately high roll Big Bang. Everybody survives this time. The Cure 4 is easy to get up.
No sign of the meteor yet, but I think we've gone through the HP refill.
Yeah, we saw that single target nuke, which means we're in the second phase. We've been a while from a shake that we might be in meteor phase shortly. There we are. And now it should just be a matter of time.
Ooh.
There we go. We've got the flash. GG's to Eiklopfer for finishing second place in this race. And I believe we have Klopfer joining us.
Hi.
Hi, GG's, thank you for letting us watch your race tonight first. Secondly, that was a bit of a rough seed, wasn't it?
It was, and I'd say I got maybe a little lost in that seed. Checked a few extra places I probably didn't have to go.
Yeah, that moon was pretty rough, but like, did you think that it was on the moon because of when you saw Nablaforce finish?
That was kind of the thought. Especially actually kind of when I saw Dark Knight Cecil guarding the 2 key items, I went, it's probably on the moon behind some free-ish boss. So I just kept poking around, seeing some other bosses that are like, oh yeah, these aren't too hard to get past. And I just thought I was checking in the wrong order. But turned out, other than the nope rope, which I just noped, wasn't up there. And at that point, I looked at the things I hadn't checked yet and went, okay, it's not up here, and went back.
Yeah, it really kind of came down, as soon as you ended up getting the darkness crystal, which was still relatively early through it all. The difference was Nabla went and almost immediately started doing his D machine grind in the giant, and that it got him his levels. He was able to just kind of blow through the queen spot and then just made the right checks.
Yeah, for sure. That, in retrospect, I was thinking I really should have skipped past tower, gone straight to turn in my pan. That had the chance of getting me the 10 key items, which it turns out it would have. And I would have immediately triggered going to the grind as well, because 10 key items, a darkness crystal, a Tella, makes sense. But unfortunately, I went, I'll do the tower. I ran into the gauntlet there. I'd seen Nabla play, seen his times. I was pretty confident he was a better player, was going to be ahead of me there. So I was like, he might skip the gauntlet. Let me do it and see if it pays off. When I saw that Artemis bow, I realized I was probably pretty far behind at that point.
That's interesting that you thought that, because that was basically exactly what happened. Nabla saw that it did go up the tower, saw that it was the gauntlet, it just reset immediately. And when we saw that, you were in that fight at that same time. So really? we were thinking like, if this ends up being the rat tail, then you might have the opportunity to come back and just overtake what Nablaforce did. So yeah,
that's kind of what I was hoping on, was really for that. I'm gonna do a check that's painful or out of the way and just hope for the payoff there.
Yeah,
doesn't always work out, but that was the approach.
So do you have any other final thoughts on this seed tonight, or since now unfortunately you're out of the bracket portion, any thoughts on this event in general?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you to everyone who's been putting on this event. I know it's been a lot of work and streaming a lot of matches. So big thanks to everyone there. GG to Nabla, and best of luck in all his future matches. He's a very strong player, so I imagine he'll do well. I really do have to say, having played a handful of these bracket seeds, they're fun, and I highly recommend even people who aren't in this doing the brackets, try some of these seeds out. You'll really start to appreciate some of the items you might not use quite as much when you don't have access to all the niceties you get when you're not running the pro shops, the pro chests. So give it a shot and have fun with it.
All right. Well, GG's again for even making it to the brackets. That's better than I could do. So very good job there. Thank you for letting us watch your race tonight, and wish you well in your whatever is to come in the free enterprise world.
Thank you very much. GG's to everyone.
All right, that was Eiklopfer for our second place finisher tonight. We're going to be taking everybody on over to Randomania. Once again, just one last shout out to our restream team of Ravlin on tracking Daphis on the restream, and my partner tonight, Vitasia. I've been Rex Raoul, and I want to thank you all for watching.
Yep. Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you at the next race.
A lot of experience out of this is when